This podcast contains strong language and discussions about relationships, sex, and love. It may not be suitable for younger listeners. This is the Sex and Singapore City podcast, and I am Nick Selena. Hello, it's Nick Selena. Happy Monday evening, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend. Probably still a little bit hungover. Not me. I'm fresh. I'm super fresh for once. This episode, my dear listeners, is part of a trilogy, which I didn't know I was going to do. But I'm a huge fan of trilogies, so here for it. Today's episode is part 1 of the recovery and road to happiness after a toxic relationship, where I will be detailing points 1 to 6 for you, and then part 2 will be coming next week. So I did an episode a few weeks back on the emotional abuse about being in a relationship with a narcissist and the damage and trauma it will cause. I got a lot of messages about this, a lot. When I recorded it, I didn't know whether I was trying to come to terms with it just myself and perhaps I shouldn't record it, or whether I was detailing something that's actually extremely relevant, particularly in today's society, in relationships, but no one seems to, talk about it. It turns out it's the latter, so bloody great, because if it was just me, airing my laundry and everyone's like, yo, Nix, no need, then that would have been awkward as fuck. But luckily, not luckily, that sounds terrible. Luckily, you all came forward with your trauma stories. But no, I've got so many messages, like girls just connecting with me. And yeah, I cannot thank you enough for coming forward. And I am so glad that my podcast episode helped you guys. You know who you are. So then my second episode on that mini trilogy that I'm finishing off today was about the rebound. And I detailed what he did to me with his rebound and all the reasons why you shouldn't fucking do it. Also resonated with a lot of people. Guys and girls came forward and were like, yeah, this is not cool, and this is spot on as to why you should be the better person, why you should heal before you move into relationships, the extra layer of pain it causes. So I am so bloody chuffed that I have you guys, listening in, that you resonate with me and you reach out and tell me. Honestly, thank you. Absolutely thank you. So given that I did state both privately to people and in the first podcast that if you guys needed it, I would do a recovery episode. This is the recovery episode. So this is officially called the Recovery and Road to Happiness After a Toxic Relationship. This will be the last episode I do on the whole affair. I don't mean his affair. I mean the whole affair of, me and my ex and the narc. This will be from my point of view about my relationship with, an extreme narcissist, but I've labeled it as a toxic relationship as an umbrella term because actually it doesn't have to just be a relationship dealing with a narc where these points are applicable, okay? So if you feel like you've been emotionally abused in any way, or your relationship was just damn dramatic and toxic, this is still applying for you. But I will be talking from my point of view, from recovering from the narcissist. What I also want to make very clear now is it's a road to happiness, not, yay, I found happiness, because it's been 4 or 5 months now. I'm not, swinging around the houses saying how, life is awesome. It's a process, I'm still on the road. However, I'm definitely out of the woods. I don't know why we've now got pavements and roads and woods. I was in a jungle, then a forest, now I'm on a path, on a road to happiness. But no, I'm out of the woods, and I feel about 1 billion trillion % different to what I did a wee while ago, thank fuck. So, from my point of view, this is how you recover from a toxic relationship after you've broken up. The pointers are in no particular order. They're all applicable the whole time. So it's not like, right, do point 1, do point 2. It's how you're going to get through this phase. And everything that I've learnt, and it's not all going to be great either. And I learnt the hard way about some stuff. So, okay, let's share. Final trilogy. Then we're done. We are done. Point 1. You have to face your pain head on, and you have to cry it out. Many of us try and divert feeling the pain. That's why rebounds exist. That's why people turn to, like alcohol, like smoking, or even fitness. People get obsessed with exercise or diet or whatever it is, something that they can control and obsess over that consumes their thought process so they can't feel the pain. I mean, mostly people end up by probably like trying to fuck it away and having sex, which is what my ex did. Yeah, no, you have to face this head on. I cannot stress enough the importance of that first point, but also how fucking hard it is. So for me, I was in mental hell. I knew very quickly that he had moved on, and I found out, like I said in the rebound thing, that I'd been replaced pretty much before I left my home with him. And I'd spent 4 years loving him more than I've ever loved anything in my life. So, yeah. Pain. Wow. Even reflecting on it now, like, hurts. Yes, pain. Indescribable, inconceivable pain. And you can't escape it because it's you. So whether you're at home alone, whether you're at work, whether you're with your friends, whether you are burying yourself in someone else's body for comfort or whatever it is you're trying to do, you can't escape it. It's pain. I didn't sleep, I don't think, for about 3 months properly. I was up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I was torturing myself mentally. I was checking my phone to see whether he contacted me. That was at the beginning of the separation. I was checking his social media to see whether this new chick had, literally replaced me. I wouldn't eat. I couldn't eat. I was trying to eat. I couldn't eat. I lost 8 kg in those 3 months. Actually, no, I lost it way before then. It was probably 1 month and a half, 2 months. It was the most traumatic period of my life. And I've been through a lot, and I've had some really bad men. This is the worst. This was the worst. Because the other bad men didn't make me think they were good. No one told me they were going to marry me. No one told me they were going to have a family with me. No one promised me the world, but never, ever came through for me. They were all like, this is all I can give you. Or, I don't want to go down my own garden path. That's the path again. But I had quite an abusive relationship when I was very, very, very young. But he wasn't ever trying to be like something he's not either. So this was the first guy that completely pulled the wool over my eyes and manipulated and emotionally kind of, I guess, used me in every possible way. So the pain is so deep and so traumatic. And I was going through the loss of the love of my life. I was the loss of the company. Like, I've spent X amount of years living with someone there every day, and now I'm completely alone in silence. I was dealing with the fact that he had treated me as if I didn't exist ever and replaced me with some very average woman. I say woman, I think she's like a girl. Yeah, replaced me like, it was like those 4 years never happened, So you have to face the pain head on, and I don't know now how I got through it. And if you're in that place, I can only tell you that you're going to get through it. That's the only thing I can possibly say right now. But the only person who will get you through it is you. Whereas you do need a support system, which I'm coming on to later on, but you have to make the choice that, I will feel this pain. Because if you try and go around the houses with it, you delay that pain, and it kind of almost comes back in a full force. So just accept that this is going to be a very, very, very low point in your life and cry it out. I can't tell you how many times I've cried. Oh, just buy waterproof mascara, and that will always help. Yeah, cry it out, girls. Number 2, research. So for me, I did a lot of narcissistic personality disorder research, and it really, really helped me because he was textbook from start to finish. I had no idea the man I was dealing with. I had no idea how manipulative he was, how much he lied to me from day one, how he triangulated me with his ex, then with a work colleague, then with the new girl. He always played me to the point of my damage, my emotional trauma, and then told me I was the insecure one. And he also, like, financially used me, like, super, super happy for me to pay everything, which I did for years. He gaslighted me a lot. Everything was my fault, right? Everything was my fault. He could have had something in his past and somehow it would be my fault. He could have something at work and somehow it would be my fault. Like, if he was unhappy at work, it would be because I'm making him have bad thoughts about his work, and all I'd be doing was bouncing off the stuff he's saying in the first place. I could do no right. And the smaller and smaller I got as a woman in that relationship, the worse it got, the more insecure I got, and he just almost got like a larger force himself. I call it my toxic tapeworm, if I'm honest. I call him my toxic tapeworm because for me, a leech is very surface and you can pull them off. A tapeworm gets inside of you and it sucks you dry. And then when you're depleted and it's got nothing else, it pushes its way out, acts like you never existed, and goes into another life force and sucks them dry. That is a narcissist, a toxic tapeworm. So yeah, if you're in a similar situation, the people that have come forward as an example saying, oh my God, I wish I heard this episode like 5 months ago, example, then those people are the ones that like do your research. If anything, the remotely that I've said makes you think, oh, that's a bit weird. That sounds quite similar to him or whatever. Do your research. It really helped me rationalize that I am the victim because I've been told for years that I'm the problem. For years, I'm the issue. I'm the problem. I'm to blame. He just utterly fucking destroyed my self-esteem, my confidence, and every kind of little light in my like personality just darkened, and then I was like drinking too much. And this is a good point. Even understanding reactive abuse. I only knew that was a thing when I did my research. So reactive abuse is when you are on the receiving end of so much abuse emotionally from the narcissist that then you react. So you lash out. You get nasty. You get physical. And then they blame you for the reaction, So even that's a term that I got all the time. So he's like, you're really spiteful, you really lash out now, every time you drink, you're horrible. But it's because I'd spent years being manipulated and gaslighted and blamed and emotionally abused. He's never laid a hand on me at all. But this is half the problem in narcissism, is because it's not physical, people don't think it's an abusive or damaging relationship. So all that was happening, and then I was suffering, and then I was reacting, like, in a way, it's like fight or flight, right? And I couldn't run anywhere. I couldn't go anywhere. It was in the middle of COVID. So yeah, research really helps if you're on the same wavelength as me and that kind of terminology, and that's the kind of person you're with. Number 3, journal every day. This really helped me, especially if I was up at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and I just had to get thoughts out my head. I'd wake up every day, I'd have a coffee, and I'd write it all down. It just helps reset, and it helps get it out of you. So it's an external thing. So then you kind of feel a little bit more calmer, and you can always talk yourself out of an irrational moment. Like if I'm like, I miss him, I fucking love him, like I can't believe he's abandoned me. On the same score, I'm like, hang on a minute, it was shit from day one. He's no interest in a future with me. He put me down a lot. Like he was screwing two people at the same go and didn't give a shit about me. So then I wrote all that down. And then I can start to wean myself off those initial thoughts where I was craving him. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of journaling. Even just if you're having a great time, journal. I love it. I think it really helps. Point 4. I've called this acceptance. So you have to go for an acceptance phase. You have to accept that it was toxic. You have to accept that you couldn't have saved that person, that you couldn't have loved them any more than you did. You loved them beyond all boundaries of love, and they still treated you that way. You could have done nothing different. You have to accept that the person that you believed they were wasn't true. You have to accept that even if you're still in love with them, they're not good for you. You have to accept that it's over. You have to accept that they will be with someone else at some point, if they're not already. And you have to make peace with all of that. And the way you make peace with it all is you accept it. I was still in denial, I reckon, for the first month or so that he was even that bad. I read about it, I convinced him, but then there was still a part of me that would call him up and, cry down the phone and be like, I just want you to hear how much pain I'm in, hoping that I would tap into that human element. And he just got angry and was like, see, look how angry you make me. That was it. Didn't give a shit. Just put more anger, more pain on me, and then told me, yeah, I'm already dating someone. I was still in semi-denial. And when I accepted that he really is this person, and my 4 years was a fake relationship that wasn't real love, not his side, just mine. It was one way from day one. I was his emotional scapegoat for everything that went wrong in his life. And he was weirdly jealous of my success, but pretended to be supportive. And he is a dark soul. Once I accepted that, the healing really began then. Because I wasn't mourning the loss of someone because they didn't exist. I was mourning the potential of him, and I was mourning what he told me he was, or what he might be in the future, or who he pretended to be in the love bombing stage. That's who I was mourning. Literally doesn't exist. And that helps. Number 5, reflection. So along with your journal, you need to reflect. This is, okay, what did I contribute? What was my part to play? Okay. I stayed when there was about 20 billion red flags. I stayed because I loved him. And because when I love someone, I'm loyal beyond boundaries. Because I have no boundaries, right? So I need to get some boundaries in place. Okay, I need to not give straight away. I give. You love me, you want my home, you have my home. You want my money, you have my money. I'll fly you on holiday. I'll let you move in. Hey, why don't you move to Singapore? You can stay with me for months rent-free. And I'll pay for all our food as well because you're here and you love me. What a joke. I am such an empath. And I laugh, but it's not cool. At my own detriment. So I've really reflected on how did I contribute to the shit show? What's my responsibility? How do I stop this happening to me again? And that's a really powerful thought to have yourself as well, because you're in a victim mode at the time and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they've done this to me. You've still had a huge part to play. Because anyone, not anyone else, but there are people out there that would meet him and see right through him and go, nah, mate. Nah, see you later. I didn't do that. I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And I'm not blaming myself. Narcissists are masters of manipulation. And because we did long distance, I really felt that he managed to continue that fake mask for a very long time with me. Perhaps it'd be different if I was living with him straight away. But even the red flags, man, he was with his ex for 10 years. He meets me within 3 months. He's saying, oh, there'll be a proposal next year. Within 3 months. 10 years with that woman meant nothing to him because he swapped her out for me and said he was going to propose within the next year. But he said it after 3 months. So what, he's so in love with me that he's going to marry me after knowing me 3 months? And I bought it all. Like, honestly, hindsight, fucking wonderful. I bought into all of this and I genuinely believed him. The next year came and went. Guess what? There was no proposal, was there? And then the following year came and went. And then he says, oh, I don't like marriage. It's just a piece of paper. Don't want to marry you. Cool. Dangling carrots. Part of my narcissistic episode. So yeah, you go back and you reflect and you think, what was I doing? Wish I'd ran a mile. But yeah, how can I make sure this doesn't happen again? What is my responsibility and what is my part to play? I think it's very important to do that. Number 6, forgiveness. In my case, not forgiving him. Don't have to, don't need to, don't fucking want to. He doesn't deserve my forgiveness on any level. But I'm going to forgive myself because I did some really shitty things when I believed him about his ex, and I probably really hurt her, and I just want to like give her a cuddle at this point because he obviously played us off against each other and he told me all these things about her, so like I hated her from the get-go, and now I can see that actually he is the sole problem, and he's probably doing the same to his new girl with me. Oh, Nixalina's my toxic ex. Oh, she's so awful. Oh, what an awful woman. I'm the victim. And the new girl's bought it all, like, oh, Nixalina's so scary. It's the same shit, different human, different vagina. Doesn't matter, you will still fuck it, like it's a hole in a bag. So I want to basically forgive myself for not knowing what he was doing, believing every word he says, and getting caught up in the whole thing. I want to forgive myself for giving him second chance after second chance after second chance, for not having my own boundaries at the time, for believing this is the kind of love I deserved. Because we only put up with the love that we think we deserve. So clearly, I let this all happen because I didn't realize that I deserve better. And I might have said it 1,000 times, like, I deserve better than this. But I obviously didn't feel it, and I obviously didn't think I was worthy enough, and there must have been some deep insecurity there with me to allow this to happen. So yeah, never forgiven him. He can go fuck himself. Whatever object he fancies. I will be forgiving myself. If you don't have such a terrible past as I do, please embrace forgiving the other person. Forgiveness is, of course, a wonderful thing. If you can do it, don't feel compelled to if they were really bad. But if you think, do you know what? I can forgive him or her, and that's going to help heal me, then fire away and really work on that, because it is so relieving when you get to that stage. And there you have it. That is the end of point 6. Stay tuned next week for points 7 to 13. And stick with me on this. And by the end of part 2, I feel like we're really going to be somewhere together. And it's going to be somewhere very positive. And yes, the road to happiness. Thanks for listening to the Sex and Singapore City podcast. This episode was produced and hosted by me, Nixalina, and recorded at the Splicecast studio in Singapore. I'm available to listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and all major podcast listening apps. Do subscribe to enjoy a new episode every Monday evening. Please do give me a 5-star review. It helps other people also find my podcast. For more awesome content and features to read, you can check out my website, sexandsingaporecity.com. That's sexandsingaporecity.com. I'm also on social media. Simply search at Nixalina, Nixalina, to find me. Don't be shy. Come say hi.